Alright, so when I planned out my videos for the rest of the year, I had a release date that matched perfectly with a rewrite I wanted to do for this video, obviously. And then they moved it up, so now I have to move this up, and I have to move a different video that I've been working on back, and it's just annoying because now my shooting frames are all different and I got work to do, and it's a little annoying. Anyways, I'm going to do this rewrite now. So Sony's Venom was released in 2018, and despite its poor critical reception, it made over $850 million in the box office. That's a lot. It got its sequel greenlit right away, and now it's coming out. We all know, let there be carnage. So I'm going to take this opportunity to rewrite Venom in what I think would make a more tonally and thematically consistent film, while also being a little more interesting than the one that we got. Because this movie is kind of a mess. Not the garbage fire mishmash mess that's hard to say. Not that whole type of thing that Suicide Squad was, but still, I think that it's not quite there in a way that definitely should be improved upon. And I've got thoughts. I've always got thoughts on rewrites. Here we go. I'm Greg, and this is my take on Venom. Let's do this. Alright, before I get into my rewrite, just want to remind you that you should be liking and subscribing because it feels good. It does. It makes me feel better when my videos do better. So, please. I think I touched hot pepper into my eye. Alright, first off, I really want to lean into a more horror vibe for this movie, at least in the first third. Venom is a character who, with his character design, with the teeth and the long tongue and the crawling walls at night, his whole vibe does resemble that of a horror monster. I don't know if that was intent or not, but it's definitely how I see the character and think that that is definitely something that we can lean into. Right? So what I want to do is open the film with what is essentially a horror short where Venom is hunting someone and you don't see Venom well at first, you just get glimpses until eventually this random person is captured and PG-13 eaten. And I want to emphasize this is just a random person, not a villain, not a character who is in opposition to Eddie Brock the Man. This is just a random bystander who is having a very bad day. This also sets up that I want to begin the movie with Eddie Brock already attached to the symbiote. We can get some dialogue between him and another character that sets up that he doesn't really understand what's happened to him and that's a recent thing. But I would rather start this movie in media res because I think that in general we are very fatigued with the fact that, everything starts with the origin story, and even movies that say they're not doing origin stories anymore kind of are anyways. And I'm not here trying to say that origin stories are boring and they're all the same and blah blah blah, but I am saying that we do need more creativity in how we establish our characters in these franchise films, especially because we're getting so many of them. And I think this in media res format would work really well as a way to shake things up and also to let the audience know that Venom isn't your basic Marvel movie. And this is going to lead directly into the main theme of the film, Eddie Brock's Jekyll and Hyde relationship, not only with the Venom symbiote, but with his career. In the movie that we got, Eddie Brock ruins his relationship with his fiancée Anne Weying because he goes after Carlton Drake, whom she works for, and it costs both of them their jobs. I'd like to keep that, but double down on the conflict that Eddie Brock is feeling on this, and how he knows that it's affecting his relationship. Eddie Brock, the man, wants to do right by his fiancée, but Eddie Brock, the journalist, needs to get the story and take down corruption. Adding to this, he has a lot of trouble balancing the persona that he becomes as Venom with his real persona outside of when he's transformed. The impulses of the symbiote are damaging his day-to-day life, and in return, when he becomes Venom, maybe he's hunting people who are connected to the Light Foundation, security guards or scientists after hours, something like that. Eventually, all this will come to a head after Anne leaves him, and he ends up in a sequence in the bell tower calling back to Spider-Man in the black suit, where Eddie Brock rips himself out of Venom, thinking that he has shed the symbiote completely, ending the first third of the film. That's right, all this was just Act 1. After that, Brock's going to go to jail for breaking into the Life Foundation security and put that story of their corruption on the back burner for now. Stay tuned. While in jail, the symbiote's going to split itself and it's going to attach to Cletus Cassidy, creating the character we all know, Carnage. Preferably not in such a fake-looking wig. So the reason why I want to do this is because I want the first movie to go off with a bang. While Venom is an iconic comic book character, his supporting cast isn't very known in the mainstream, outside of two characters, and Riot isn't one of them. This isn't a character with an iconic rogues gallery like Spider-Man or Batman, so I feel like the choice to save the most iconic villain when you don't know for sure if you're going to be making a sequel doesn't seem like a strong choice, and I want to fix that. A movie like Batman Begins can do that tease at the end of their film with Joker because of the fact that we know Batman as a society a lot better than someone like Venom. Plus, Tim Burton and his team making the first iconic Batman film knew that. In 1989, they went right up with Joker because they knew that the audience knew that. They knew they could get a great actor to portray that character and really show you what Batman is, not just on his own, but in relation to his most iconic villain. It's a much bigger statement, and I think that works well for this movie that I'm pitching. So with Carnage, you end up getting another play on the Jekyll and Hyde duality motif, where this character is taking on the horror and violence motif from the first half, as Eddie Brock as a character is taking back his human side. Also, in this middle section, while we're setting up the Carnage stuff for the third act, let's also give Eddie a few scenes where he figures his stuff out a bit more. He can be visiting a prison psychiatrist who is giving him the tools he needs to better understand and communicate with Venom, the symbiote, and sort of sets up that odd couple dynamic that they seem to have built into the half a trailer for Let There Be Carnage I saw. So Eddie's going to get out of jail at this point, either on bail or because of some sort of technicality, with the help of Anne. She's going to let him know that this is the last thing she's going to do for him before leaving his life forever. And by forever, I mean until she becomes She-Venom in the sequel or the climax of this one, whichever way we want to go, but that's going to happen. Also, I think it's weird that this female character who is in a relationship with this man and then leaves him and has a line specifying that her happiness is more important than him, ends up just in another relationship with another dude when you see her later. So I'm going to cut that out. I don't think that that's needed at all. Right? I think so anyways. Carnage obviously ends up breaking out of jail and wreaking carnage, you know, like his name says. And we could even play on the fact that maybe Eddie thinks that he's the one doing it, and that adds to his conflict and guilt, only to discover that it's not him who's doing it, but it's still his fault, and he has to, you know, become a hero and stop him. So they get their big action climax where the two of them are fighting, and you can really tell them apart because one of them is bright red, and then the movie ends. Except we set up that Carlton Drake has found symbiotes like he does in the original film, but now at the end instead of the beginning, setting up what he's going to do in the sequel. See him as a bad guy doing bad things in the name of the Life Foundation before he gets an alien symbiote that he can experiment on really makes us root against him further, and adds depth to the character that I would rather see. But what do I know? Like I said at the beginning, this movie made over $850 million. It must have done something right. This is just my taste and how I think that this film could have been better. Agree, disagree, let me know in the comments. Check out my other videos. Hope to see you around here in the future. Have a good one.